What's up, guys? Cruiser Bruiser here. Gonna do a little install video today. I bought one of these chin mounts. It's just from chinmounts.com. Basically, it just goes on the helmet. It's made for any helmet. I mean, I'm sure you can just check out chinmounts.com. Most of you guys probably already know about it. They make mounts that specifically fit to your specific helmet. So you don't have to worry about, GoPro mounts, trying to figure out where to mount it, how to, build your little erector set, to where you got to basically have like 1,000 little connectors all together that make it to where you can position your camera on your helmet. When I prefer on the chin, just because on the chin just is a little bit better, gives you a better perspective, stays out of the way. There's not as much junk to work around. So we're going to work on that today. I have a couple of things here, basically a list of things that you need. First things first, beer. No job can be even started without having a beer first. Your beer of choice, doesn't really matter. I prefer Coors or Miller, either way. Other things you need, obviously, you need your mount from chinmounts.com. I'm not really going to go through, putting the GoPro on and things like that, just because I'm filming with the GoPro and it'll be just too hard. I don't want to have to break out the other GoPro and all that kind of stuff, because all that's self-explanatory. Once you get the mount on, you just plug your GoPro up and go. So I'm not going to go too into detail on that. Some of the other equipment you may need, a blow dryer, because you do have to heat up the chin mount, the 3M tape, to make it bond a little bit better. All right, so yeah, the second thing you need, besides, well, obviously your beer is your first thing you need. Your blow dryer is the next thing you need to be able to heat up the 3M tape. Third thing is your chin mount. The fourth thing, which is the final thing, is your helmet. I have the Sedici, or Sedici, however you say it. I prefer to call it Sedici just because it sounds cooler. But I have the Sedici Sistema 2. They make these chin mounts for pretty much any helmet in existence, pretty much. So yeah, let's get right to it. Yeah. All right, now that we're hydrated, let's get started. Yeah, so the first thing you want to do when you're getting started here, make sure you have your helmet on a soft surface. Make sure it's not something that's going to scratch it up. This table's made of wood, so it's not really going to do too much to it, but I don't want to get any nicks or cuts or scrapes or scuffs or anything like that on the helmet. It's brand new. After about a month or two, I'm not going to give a shit. But the first thing we're going to want to do here is we're going to see how exactly this connects. It seems to go in fairly well that way. Slide it back out. Let's see if it goes in easier this way. Yeah, it seems like it's best if we're going to connect it like this. So we know that that's what we're going to need there. Second thing we're going to need is we're going to need to know what kind of mount we're going to use to connect this. Now for me, I may end up using one of these, just because once it's on the helmet, if it slides upwards, that doesn't work. We're going to slide from the curved part upwards. That snaps right in. I may end up using this one. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, I know that the curved end most likely needs to go to the top, because I like my mounts to slide down into it. Reason for this is just in case it does decide to rattle loose and slide, it's not going to slide up. If I had it mounted like this and one of these little tabs break off, it's more likely to slide down and slide out, and you're going to lose your GoPro. So I always like to make it to where it slides down into it. It's just a personal preference. It's up to you how you choose to do yours. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to see how this thing lines up. I know that I'm going to slide it in from this side here, so I'm going to slide it down into the mount. So I know I want this little concave right here at the top. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the helmet, and we're going to make sure that it actually works, that it's the actual right one they sent you. But I mean, they seem to be pretty good about it. I've heard a lot of good things about them, so about chinmounts.com. So I believe the guy's name is Chris that's been emailing me. He sent me all sorts of tips and tricks and instructions and random things like that, and different types of things you can buy from their company as well. But if you see, let me hold this still and I'll see if I can show the camera. That is almost a perfect lined up fit. I mean, there may be a little bit of a gap in between the 3M and the helmet, but that's going to go away once we add heat to it. So don't worry about that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to clean the helmet. They send you a nice little handy dandy alcohol swab. which is pretty freaking cool. I mean, GoPro's not going to send you that. And I hope the wind noise isn't too bad. I have my fan running right now. It's a little bit warm in the garage. So you're going to take where you're going to put your GoPro mount, and you're going to clean the chin. Get anything, any fingerprints, any grease, any road grime, bugs. Try to get all that off. Alright, we're pretty clean. Now we're going to let that dry. Set that to the side. Now, the next thing you're going to do is they suggest to add heat. So we're going to use a blow dryer. We're going to get a swig. So they suggest to add heat just to help the bonding. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the backing off of the 3M tape. Set the mount down. Throw the backing away. And we're going to take a hair dryer. This is just a basic nano titanium baby, I don't know, some freaking hair dryer my wife has. But I mean, you can use a heat gun. I prefer a hair dryer, that way I don't overheat it and melt something. So you're gonna put it on high heat. Don't blow your stuff away on the table. Just add some heat to it. It's pretty hot. I'm gonna cheat here because I'm a pansy, and that is very hot air blowing onto that. I'm gonna hold it with a pair of needle nose. That should do it there. That was maybe 30 to 45 seconds worth of heat. That's all you really need. You don't really need much more than that. Now we're going to take the helmet, we're going to set it up, and we're going to position it and put it where it needs to be. So let's aim this camera a little bit better here. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Try to get it to where it's even with your vents. Depending on what kind of helmet you may have a vent on your chin, you may not. My Gringo doesn't have a vent on the chin, so of course the Gringo can use just a basic curved mount and it's just fine. So you want to try to get it lined up as perfect as you can because you don't want your camera angle to be off. That right there is just about perfect. It might be a tad to the side, but not enough to where I'm going to really care about it. You will not notice that on the GoPro at all. As you can see here, it's pretty straight. I mean, it may be maybe a millimeter, if that, just barely off a little bit, but it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. You're not going to notice that in the GoPro footage. The only way you'd really worry about that is if you were like a major freaking OCD fucking nutty person about how completely straight and everything is within like a freaking fraction of a millimeter. That's the only time you'd really worry about that. But you just want to add some pressure to it for about 30 seconds to a minute. Make sure it's sealing everywhere and it's making contact. If you see an area is kind of like, I don't know if you can really see at the top right there, it's just barely not making any contact. Just add heat to it and it'll fill that stuff in. It'll fill it in. You don't have to worry about that. So you just hold your pressure on there for about a minute and then we'll see what happens. We're gonna hit it with some heat just to make sure. Fill in those little areas with the gaps in it. There we go, just gave it a little bit of heat around the edges, just enough to fill that gap in. That freaking massive bug in here is freaking me out. That thing's easily bigger than 2 of my thumbs. It's fucking nuts. Just add some pressure. Alright, we're looking good. Anytime, like if you see like little gaps, like down at the bottom, you might see maybe like a tiny little gap. It's not a big deal, but if you're a stickler for that, just hold it down, put some pressure right there, it'll stick. If it doesn't stick, add a little bit of heat, you're gold. The stuff's not going anywhere. I mean, you can have little gaps to where you can see, like, say like in the middle, I've ran my GoPro mounts before to where they were only really making contact on either side. In the middle, you could look through and see light. I've never had an issue. I know a lot of people are real weird about that, and, you know, kind of gives you better peace of mind if you have that area touching, but I've never had an issue. With this one here, it's not going anywhere because it's literally making contact across the entire surface. All right, and it is on there. You can see all around it, it is connected. You even have your little Chin Mounts logo on the side. I'm not sure if you can really see that in the GoPro here, but hopefully you can. It's got a little Chin Mounts logo. It's right there on the side of it. That's pretty much it. I mean, it fits. They make them to fit every helmet basically in existence. I wouldn't say like every single helmet in existence, because obviously there are some brands that are lesser known. But yeah, I mean, there are some brands that are lesser known. They're probably not going to have a mount for those just yet. I mean, I have like a Cyber helmet that I have laying over here that is, like, I've never heard of the name brand before in my entire life. I mean, I've had helmets before that are off-brand helmets that they probably won't have a mount for yet. They may eventually, but who knows? I mean, because a lot of these off-brand, like Amazon helmets and stuff, are just weird. I mean, they release a helmet and they're out of business within a year. But yeah, I mean, that's all there is to that. They released some helmets the other day, or some mounts the other day for some helmets. I believe it was like one of the Harley Davidson helmets and maybe one of the Ruroc helmets. A couple of other like random helmets that really you don't see often. But basically any helmet that you can go into Cycle Gear and purchase, or any helmet you can go into, or like go onto Revzilla and purchase, things like that, they have a mount for pretty much all of them. I'm hoping my microphone's not in the way here because I'm having to use this weird boom mic. But yeah, I mean, that's all there is to it. They make them, you know, like I said, they make them for pretty much every helmet. If you want one, you know, check it out. They're not cheap. I mean, they're not really made cheap either. So, I mean, they're not cheap in both ways. They're not cheap money-wise, and they're not cheap in material-wise. So they're made fairly well. I'm sure if you have a 3D printer, you can make one of your own and not have to spend the money at all. But they're about 30 bucks. So, I mean, they're a little on the pricey side, but when you think about it and think of the ease of how it is to, you know, not have to worry about piecing together a freaking like a Lego set to run your GoPro, and you have all this shit on the side of your head. Literally all you need is connect your GoPro to your chin, tilt it, you're done. And it's much more stable. You don't have a million points of contact to where, stupid bug. Yeah, you don't have like a million, like, I guess pivot points, and like basically weak points is essentially what they are. You don't have as many chances of, say, a screw backing out and losing your GoPro. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. This here, I figured I'd go ahead and give you a view of this as well. This number 4 Allen key. I don't use the thumb screws in my GoPro mounts at all. I just use basically little screws. You can, I don't remember the exact size. If I can remember the size, I'll throw it up on the screen. But if not, just go to the hardware store with one of your thumb screws from your GoPro. Buy some of these. I believe they are 1 inch, if I'm not mistaken, length. And yeah, you just tighten them up with a Allen key, and you don't have all those bulky thumb screws in the way. But that's just something I've been doing for years now. But that's pretty much it. Hope you guys liked the video. Go check out chin mounts. Grab you one. You might be happy with it. You might not be. It's up to you. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And as always, have a nice day. Something else I forgot to mention. So, luckily I remembered this before I walked away. It also comes with a tether. I'm probably not going to use it, but it's got 3M tape on it, connects to the side of your helmet, it's got a string on it, you can connect it to your GoPro. So if the chin mount happens to fail, it'll catch your GoPro. I'm not going to use it just because I don't really feel the need to. Honestly, I've never had a GoPro fall. I mean, I guess I'll knock on wood if it does. I use the Hero 4. It's $100, $200, you know, on a more expensive day. But yeah, just so you know, if you do have one of the newer GoPros that are like $600-700 or whatever kind of camera you have, it does have a tether with it, so there is that safety feature there. But anyway, figured I'd hop back in and let you guys know that, because I saw it laying on my table and I was like, I forgot to mention this. So yeah, again, don't forget to like and subscribe, tell your friends, and as always, have a nice day.